I'm Dr. Arnie Nierenberg, and I'd like to talk to you about the Power Thought method. It's the most powerful method I've ever developed in 30 years of being a clinical psychologist. What I found in my practice is that people would make a lot of progress in the session. I would see communication patterns enhanced, self-awareness enhanced, but I wasn't sure how much it really carried over to outside of my office. After 30 years, I decided I need some way of helping to ensure that what people achieve in my therapy session, that they'll be able to use when they leave my office and even be able to use after they're no longer seeing me. And that's when I discovered the Power Thought method, which I've been using with myself, my family, and my patients for the past year. A power thought is a thought which will empower us to be the way we want to be. A power thought targets certain areas so that we can overcome certain inner hurdles that we have. It could be in terms of enhancing relationship, overcoming anger, overcoming jealousy, overcoming some mental blocks. Whatever goals we want to set in life, there is a thought which will empower us to more readily accomplish that goal, whether it's an inner goal or an outer goal. A power thought, when I use with my patients, I will prescribe specific ones so I can fine-tune it for them. However, there are power thoughts that could be prescribed for many people at one time, and then there are methods of fine-tuning the power thought. There's one aspect of the power thought that's absolutely essential, and that is, to be effective, it must be repeated every hour. And if an hour is missed, then it must be doubled up the next hour. But under no circumstance do you want to go less than 6 or 7 times a day. Let's talk about some examples of power thoughts. Let me give you a real-life example. I had a patient who used to have 5 jealousy rages a day. Her boyfriend had a job where he would be working with women, and he was supervising them. He'd come home, he'd get calls, paged, midnight, 1 in the morning, 2 in the morning, and so forth, and she would get extremely jealous, go into jealousy rages. I said, do you think he's having an affair, or is it just you? She said, I think it's just me. I said, well, your power thought is, it's just me. So every hour she would repeat to herself, it's just me. It's just me. And within a week's period of time, she wasn't having any jealousy rages, and after 9 months, she still hasn't had one jealousy rage since that time. That was the exact right one for her. Matter of fact, there was even an incident where somebody called in the middle of the night at 2 in the morning, and she said, gee, if it's a bad time to call, I can call back some other time. I don't mean to be a big disturbance to you. And she said, you know what? I'll go see if he's up. So she went, woke him up, got him on the phone. No jealousy at all. It's just me. That was her power thought. That's what worked. The important thing is we repeat it every hour so that we really deepen in it. It proves to us our own sincerity, and we reprogram ourselves to react in a different way. That worked for her. With others where I have jealousy, where other people have jealousy, I'll have them say, I choose to trust my wife, or I choose to trust my husband. I choose to trust that person. That could be their power thought. That's a very good power thought in general for trust issues, jealousy issues. I choose to trust you. Now, for people who have spiritual beliefs, believe in God and the power of prayer, which I personally do myself, then they might say, I ask God to help me deepen in the thought that I really trust my spouse, that I really trust this person. So these are areas particularly have to do with, say, jealousy reactions. Now, I'll have people coming in to me and say, how can I be a better husband? How can I be a better wife? So, well, true love is where we try to put the other person before ourselves, where their needs are more important than our needs. Their reality is more important than our reality. What they want is more important than what we want. Their vulnerability and sensitivity is more important than our vulnerability and sensitivities. That's true love. So what I'll do, which I've used for myself as well as my patients, people who want to improve their marriage, and I can tell you the power thought that's very effective at this, your needs are more important to me than my own needs. And a person can say, may God help me quicken in the thought or more deeply feel the thought that my wife's needs are more important to me than my own needs. Every hour. Now, some power thoughts need to be repeated every hour for life. That would be one of them. Some power thoughts, like overcoming a bad habit, such as smoking or road rage, could be repeated maybe for a certain period of time, like 6 months. The one, let's say, with angry driving, where one driver gets angry at another driver for something he, she did on the road, where that driver yells, screams, make obscene gestures. That's very effective for angry driving is, I'm not going to let other people control my emotions. I'm not going to let other people control my anger. It's very effective for overcoming angry driving. I'm not going to let others control my anger. Extremely effective for angry driving. So each area has its own type of thoughts that are very effective for overcoming the issue. And the results have been miraculous, absolutely miraculous. I have many people who have given testimony to how it's helped them break bad habits. I've even had with teenagers who disrespected their parents. And I would get them in touch with what happens if their mother died or their father died, how would they feel? And usually they feel tremendous regret. They would feel, gosh, I'll miss you, I loved you, I appreciated what you did, I'm so sorry I didn't appreciate you more when I had you, I'm so sorry I disrespected you. So I'll have the power thought for those people being, I want to cherish my mother while I still have her. Of course, that can be used in many relationships. I want to cherish this other person while I still have that person. Because this life goes by quickly, very quickly for all of us. Whether we live 50 years or 150 years, it's over quickly. So the power thought, I want to cherish you while I still have you, is a very good way for enhancing any relationship, and has to be repeated once an hour for as long as that relationship continues, which hopefully will be for a lifetime. Certainly in terms of mother and child, it'll be for a lifetime, and hopefully in a marriage it'll be for a lifetime. So this is the power thought method. Again, it's more than just positive thinking. It's targeting certain areas, such as jealousy, anger, insecurity, and so forth. The method has produced absolutely miraculous results and I've witnessed it over a period of close to a year now.
The main issue in any relationship is this, that we tend as human beings to be very self-centered and selfish. This is the basic issue that every relationship has to deal with. Therefore, the power thought that needs to be repeated once an hour, and keep in mind, a power thought is a thought that empowers us to be the way we choose to be. The power thought that will most help all relationship is, I place the other's needs before my own. I place my spouse's needs before my own. I place my child's needs before my own. Whatever the relationship is. Right now we use the paradigm of husband and wife. I place the needs of my wife before my own. My wife is more of a priority to me than myself. What she wants, what she needs, her reality is more important to me than my reality. Her pain is more important to me than my own pain. Her joy is more important to me than my own joy. So these are some of the elaborations. Now, if this power thought is repeated once an hour, I promise you, you will start seeing subtle changes within the first day or two. Subtle. Your spouse may or may not see it, but you'll notice yourself becoming less selfish, doing more for the other, and the relationship will definitely improve. Then as the years go by and you're using this power thought, it'll just unfold into a more rich, a deeper, more fulfilling relationship. Almost all problems in a relationship can be helped with that one power thought alone. This power thought, I place your needs before my own. I'm more committed to you than I am to myself. The other person comes to feel that. It creates a context of security. The other person feels secure with you and therefore gives security to you in return. The other person may not still like everything about you, but they realize, gee, this person's really committed to me. So now the power thought can be expressed with variations. I'm more committed to you than I am to myself. You're more of a priority to me than I am to myself. And once an hour it has to be repeated. If we miss an hour, we then should double up the next hour. But under no circumstances should we go less than 6 or 7 for the whole day. 6 or 7 for the day will at least keep it functioning. Now, as with many power thoughts, for this to really work, a person must make a lifetime commitment to that power thought. And we've had miracles, absolute miracles happen in relationships with just that power thought. in 50% of the cases. Why only 50%? Because only 50% of the people seem willing to keep to the discipline of repeating this once an hour. Many people after a while say, I don't want to do this anymore. Now, this power thought, by it's being done once an hour, it'll prevent many problems from even coming up. You'll notice yourself doing more for your spouse. It'll prevent most problems from even arising. And when a problem does arise, and you start to get into an argument, you're more likely to say, I don't want to be doing this. Your life's more important to me than mine. Saying this to yourself or out loud, and therefore, and you'll stop doing it. Or let's say you've caused your spouse pain, and you've gone right into some argument, and you recognize, oh my God, what have I done? I'm sorry, darling. I didn't mean to be doing that. I don't know what happened to me. I'm so sorry. So that when you do apologize, it'll have tremendous impact because it'll come from way deep within yourself. Because every time you repeat that thought to yourself, what happens? One, you're reprogramming yourself to get away from your own self-centeredness, your own selfishness. But secondly, a very important thing happens. It demonstrates to you your own sincerity. Gee, I'm doing this every hour. I'm doing this 6 times a day. I must really mean it. Now, another variation of this is to say, God, please help me put the needs, the reality of my spouse before my own. So it can be placed as a statement, I want to do this, I'm doing this, or put as a request of God in the form of a prayer. Lord, please help me put the needs of my wife before my own needs. So these are the variations. It's good to use the variations of basically the same power thought. Again, to repeat it at least once an hour. And then if you notice a trouble spot you're going into, then you start increasing the frequency of it to every couple of minutes until you got a hold of yourself again, and then you're safe once again. Now, these power thoughts will enhance the relationship by at least 90% in a short period of time. But then, you don't want to give up on your power thought. You don't want to say, gee, we're doing well now. I don't have to do this. Wrong. Because there is a tendency in human nature to revert back to the old ways of being again. And we always have to guard against this particular issue. The issue being our own self-centeredness, our own selfishness, which is very natural. We begin life along these ways. Now, this power thought enables us to stand upright and walk as spiritual human beings. Without the power thought, a person can say, I know I should put my spouse first. But unless they're repeating it once an hour, they won't be able to fully stand and walk. They may be able to stand up, take a few steps, and fall. But the power thought enables us to stand as mature spiritual human beings and walk, even run. And without it, it just doesn't happen, no matter how well-intentioned we are. New Year's resolutions at most work for a month, maybe 2 months. To just say once a day, to pray once a day, that's good. Well, it won't do the job, because under the heat of the moment, that car didn't start, you had a problem with at work, a problem with the kids, something comes up with your spouse, boom, it's easy to just blow up unless you've prepared yourself by saying your needs come before my own. Your feelings are more important to me than my own. Your joy, your pain is more important than my own. You need to spell it out, elaborate on it. It'll enhance the relationship tremendously. Once in a while, sure, will there still be an issue. It won't move it 100%, but it's going to move it a tremendous amount. It'll enhance your life, the life of your spouse, and the entire family life will improve tremendously, very noticeably. Okay, Carlos, why don't you say a little bit about your background and what you were doing with the police, special agent, and so forth?
Sure.
Your background.
Well, my name is Carlos Martinez, and newly replanted into Los Angeles. Got out of federal law enforcement. I was in federal law enforcement for just shy of 10 years. Dealt with a little bit of everything that the Department of Justice has to offer as far as enforcement goes. I did everything from Title 21, which is DEA cross designation, to Title 19, U.S. Customs cross designation, and I also had U.S. Border Patrol designation.
Yeah, and you were the most highly decorated
an enforcement agent on Border Control?
When I left, yes, I was. Just had recently acquired a second second nomination to the Newton Azarek Award, which is the highest Medal of Valor awarded to a federal agent in the United States.
And you were also a sharpshooter for the government?
That's correct. I was a sharpshooter from the get-go. I guess I came into the academy with no bad habits, and they molded me to do what I had to do.
Now, you went through a divorce. You had been very in love with your wife. She left. You want to talk a little bit what happened? She left and what that did to you?
Sure. Well, obviously, at the end of my tenure with the U.S. Department of Justice, a lot of things kind of came cascading down. Obviously, didn't expect my career to end as abruptly as it did, but it did. Suffered a lot of injuries on duty, and subsequently, I think it took its toll out on my marriage partially. But evidently, I went through a divorce, separation. Obviously, at first, found out that my ex-wife had an affair for quite some time before I even found out. Unfortunately, I found out in a very difficult manner. I found out when an undisclosed woman comes knocking at my door and tells me if Veronica Martinez lives here. I asked her. Yeah, I said sure. I thought maybe something had occurred out on the road, an accident or something. She goes, well, I want you to know that, she's been having an affair with my husband for quite a while. So yeah, it was pretty devastating. It destroyed a good chunk of my effort that I put into my relationship with her for 16 years. Yeah.
So you were very hurt. You were very hurt through what took place.
Oh, absolutely.
And you still wanted her back. It was hard for you to really let go of her. Was that the case?
Yeah, I did. I honestly thought that there might be some way that we could mend things. Maybe in a joint effort, through counseling or what have you. And I was willing to go at all to the full extreme to, salvage my marriage.
And so would you say your desire to have her back kept you tormented because you couldn't have her back?
That's correct.
Part of what tormented you?
Oh, yes, absolutely. I was pretty devastated because I knew that she didn't want me back. She had already found somebody else that was maybe filling her void that she needed filled, for whatever reason it was that caused her to do what she did for the length of period that she did. I just felt that I gave it my last ditch effort to try to save my marriage.
And your symptoms include depression, anxiety. What were your symptoms for what you were going through?
Just very depressed. Asking myself, what could I have done better? And I guess I got into that what if, could have, should have syndrome, and that in itself I felt was. Now I realize that it was probably the worst thing that I could have possibly done, because I was beating myself to the ground. But yeah, it was definitely a lot of depression.
So what is it that finally allowed you to let go of her and get on with your life? What helped more than anything else, and how did it do that?
Well, I feel that obviously, establishing a patient-doctor relationship with you and your help and your power thoughts, obviously, were incredibly beneficial.
Why you share what your power thought was and how you got to watch and how you went about doing your power thought?
Sure. I acquired this watch here and kind of sets off this alarm every hour, and it's and it was just giving me a signal to be able to say a power thought that we both came up with, and it was, Veronica, I release you to your destiny, and I wish you well in the future. And it was, I said it every hour that I could possibly, without any, disturbance to wherever I'd be at, whether it be at a meeting or doctors, what have you. Even in the middle of conversations with friends, it'd go off. Sure enough, Veronica, I release you to your destiny. and I wish you well in the future. And it
That-
really allowed me to just. Took me a while. It took me a while, but I saw a transformation occurring, where it allowed me to really cut that umbilical cord that kept us somehow together, as in my own mind, that it was still like a connection, like a soul connection, you know, and it just completely allowed me to sever that.
And you were able to let her go and wish her well. I mean, to this
Absolutely.
day, you do wish her well.
I wish her well every day. I pray for her every day.
So I know you had both your religious convictions, a network of friends. Certainly these were tremendous contacts, close relationship with your parents. But the power thought method you're saying was very vital in what you were doing. Is that
It was
the case?
probably the most vital, or the single thing that really helped me strengthen my ability to let go and move along. You know, get drug around the dirt a little bit, stand up, dust yourself off, and continue on a forward path. And that's the way I've always been. And although this was very difficult, but I was able to get the strength through the power thoughts to do so.
Thank you, Carlos.
And why don't we start with yourself? You wanted to improve your marriage with your wife. Why don't you just say a little bit about how it was, and then where it went, and how you brought it there?
Well, actually, we was in a position to where with me and my wife, we was doing good at one point when we first started, and then all of a sudden it just got to a point to where the marriage seemed where we was like just started pointing the finger at one another and was always being critical of one another, and that we realized that we needed help, and we was searching and we was constantly trying to find the issues, but then we find that the more we was trying to deal with the issue, that we were becoming more critical. But then after someone that told me about a doctor by the name of Dr. Nursbaum, told me that you ought to check with him and try and just see what, you know, how things would go, and I gave you a call, Dr. Nursbaum, and from that I found that by coming in and receiving the counsel with me and my wife, and you have really helped me and my wife in a great deal of showing us how to, rather than to be critical of one another, but to learn how to more or less, you know, praise one another and kind of, you know, encourage her. And it was a thing because our marriage was at a point to where it was really, we was headed to divorce. And I know that if we hadn't have got this counseling, that the next step was going into a divorce, because it was like rather than anything getting better, it looked like things was getting worse and worse. But thanks to you, Doc, and your counseling, and me and my wife, you know, looking at life now, our marriage is being healed. And I just want to be honest and, you know, just be real with you that, you know, that if it had not have been for your counseling, if it hadn't have been for this, then I know that we was on that verge. But I'm so happy today for, you know, for the brother that told me about you, and I'm thankful for the Lord, you know, for the Lord doing it, because you had encouraged me and my wife and told us about how, you know, how great things could be if we would just learn how to just, you know, work together and just be with one another. And you gave me a couple of power thoughts that, but looking at those power thoughts and just thinking about them, that it really was a great blessing, you know, to me as I look and learn how to, because I was selfish. And, you know, I looked at myself as though as long as I'm taken care of, who cares about anyone else? But after doing this, and when you gave me this power thought about to put my wife before me, which was something totally new. We had been married, but I had never really just looked at the issue like that. I was so busy, I guess, caught up on myself and trying to focus on myself too. Well, I missed the mark. But when you told me that, and I learned how to just, you know, put my wife and begin to put her first and ask the Lord to help me to put her, because it wasn't an easy thing, because this was something that was new to me. I had never really worked on that. But after putting it into practice and working with it, and I found that tube has been a great blessing to me, you know, putting her there and then learning how to praise her and to more or less, you know, give her thanks, because it used to be rather than like I would be finding, you know, critical points in her life and banging her, and she come back at me, and when we realized that that's not the answer. But now I find myself, you know, it's just like encouraging her and more or less inspiring her. That when I see things in her, I inspire her and tell her how good she is and how sweet my wife is, and rather than always, you know, finding negative points. But I'm thankful to you, doctor, and for the counseling and for the points of the power thoughts and things that you have done for me and my wife, because through your counseling it's been a blessing.
Now, right there, the thought of putting the Lord, you said one of your power thoughts is, Lord, help me to put my wife before myself, to put her needs before mine, to make her a priority in my life. About how many times a day would you say, I know it varies, but how many times a day do you say, you get to say that thought?
Actually, I had to really work on that. That's probably about 8 to 9 times a day.
Well, that's
starting
good.
off
8 to
that
9
I had
times
to-
a day is okay.
mhm.
I mean, I have about 9 power thoughts myself. I try to do it hourly, but I'll probably end up with about 9 times a day. So as long as it's staying up around that level, that'll continue working. So you have the one, Lord, help me put my wife before myself. Any others, Lord, help me praise my wife? Is that what you asked for?
And right, to help me, because that was a hard thing for me. I mean, I couldn't see myself if someone criticizing me and pointing out bad points in my life for me to praise them. But after really looking at it and taking it under consideration, after when you was telling me about it, I looked at it and realized that that's a very powerful thought, to learn how to praise her. And, you know, if I wanted to get my wife to be more loving and more kind, then I have to learn how to find good things and find good points in her life by praising her and letting her know how sweet she are and how kind she are, rather than finding the negative, though.
Well, you know, the natural part of being human is to complain, or to find the negative things and deal with them. That's the natural propensity. So this, in a way, is going against that part of our nature, going more towards a spiritual part of our nature, to be able to find praise and see good in our spouse, even though we might be hurt by something. So you have felt the marriage has improved. Let me hear from Rolanda, and have you say how you saw what the problem is and how you feel things have progressed.
Well, first of all, I want to give thanks and honor to God for allowing you to be a part of our life. Amen. For coming into our life and opening up our understanding and our eyes and the things where we were lacking. And like he was saying earlier, when I first met you, you know, the state that we were at, you know, I believe prior to us coming, I think we might have been in an argument and we both was just ready to go our separate ways. And I was to the point where either we was going to get a divorce or stay together. I didn't even want to be separated. I said, no, if we're going to separate, we might as well get a divorce. And we was just at that breaking point. But as you begin to counsel us and give us power thought, and my power thought was, Lord, help me to give my husband peace of mind. And to be honest, I only did it about maybe 5 times, you know, 5 times. I wasn't doing it, like you said, every hour, but maybe like 5 times a day. You know, every time I remember, I would do it. And even when we were about to get in an argument, or even in the midst of an argument, I remember that, and I just hold my peace. Like you said, you even told me one session when we was in counseling, even if you feel like just screaming or just tell them off, just don't say anything. And I did it, and it worked. You know, it made peace be in the home, because I didn't like fight back with words or get smart or get sarcastic or whatever. And so I thank God for your wisdom and your knowledge and your experience, because a lot of things you were telling us, you were speaking from experience. It wasn't just book knowledge, but you actually was speaking from experience.
I've got 9 power thoughts for a reason.
So and I see a big difference in a marriage, and I'm learning, and I think I have learned a lot. I don't think I criticize you as much. I think I kind of toned it down, but that was one of the things I think was really bothering him, because I always point out the negative and stuff, you know. But the marriage is I think God has improved a lot, and you said it would be, you know, it would get better. So
You have to keep these power thoughts up, both of you, for a lifetime.
Mm-hmm.
This is not like a month, 2 months. This is a lifetime. This is for myself. I've got 9 of them. All 9 are lifetime. Well, no, one of them actually may not be. I have one that's for my sports psychology things. 8 of my 9 are lifetime commitments. 8 of my 9 I have to keep it for a lifetime. Well,
I have to tell you, it's been truly, the involvement in your marriage has been a privilege for me, a blessing for me, an inspiration to me.
Mhm.
Yeah, definitely all those things. Um, the Spirit's there when we meet, no
Yeah.
question about it, and the three of us feel it. We know that. So, um, I'm just delighted with things, and I'm proud of you both. I am.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You used to get panic attacks. You used to be very nervous. Can you talk about what your symptoms used to be like?
Well, the symptoms used to be like I would get like stranded within myself. My anxiety attacks would be very intense. That my tongue would swollen up, my mouth would get dry. All of a sudden, I would be sucked in to the point where, in actuality, I could see my eyes being flipped, and I would be able to see myself. And I mean, I would get so nervous that my heart would start racing and my hands would start sweating with no reason whatsoever. Even if I was out of a job and I was in a nice, calm, relaxed place at home, but I would still get the anxiety attacks and nervousness, and and I mean I couldn't function at the level where I am now.
Now, before you used to get thoughts of even killing yourself during an anxiety attack, during a panic attack.
Yeah, because I thought that that I wasn't enjoying my life anymore. I mean, it was so intense that no matter what I would do, whether to watch a game on TV or to go out with my friends, it wasn't as fun as it used to be anymore. I would have one beer or two, and I mean, it wouldn't do anything to me anymore. I mean, I would get sucked back into the anxiety attacks, or I would get nervous, or I would lose concentration. So, I mean, regardless of the game, whether it was my favorite team on TV or it was a great game, I wouldn't enjoy it as I do now. I could say that.
Now, the basic cure that you've had were the power thoughts. Why don't you talk about your power thought and how often you do it and what it's done for you?
Well, in the beginning, when we started, well, actually, before I used to have a power that I thought that it would work, but I didn't know the major effect. Remember when I told you that I was like, I would tell to myself, relax before I came to you, just
Yeah.
relax, relax, and I would do that. But when I came to you, you start giving me deep muscle relaxation. We did a tape, and then we came out with a power thought. The first one did not work, but I think that if people think about themselves and of the way they feel, they could come up with their own power thought. Because the first one that we came up with, remember, it was about timing.
Yeah,
And
what
I,
was that one about time? It's just going to last for a half hour or something?
yeah, and I told you that
Didn't work.
that with time they didn't work because I actually needed something that worked in my advantage. So we came out with easy, be easy, take it easy. But what I did with it, I included the deep muscle relaxation, which close your eyes. But I remember I told you that I roll my eyes back,
Yeah, right.
and then I go easy, be easy, take it easy. And I feel so much great. I try to do it as many times as I could possibly remember, which now I'm doing it between 9 to 11 times a day. And I figured that has helped me a lot. I mean, I have gone back to work and I feel so stressless. I mean, I actually don't even feel the heart racing, the palm sweat anymore. I mean, I feel great. I feel like a bird, as free.
Now, how long ago did we start this power thought of easy, be easy, take it easy? But how long would you say you've been using that now?
I would say in the right now it's like the first second week of February. We started on the last week of November.
So it's about 3 months?
No, I would say it's about 2 months, close to
November,
3
December,
months.
January, it's been 3 months, and during that time, you haven't had any
I haven't had
attacks.
anything. I mean, not even close to it.
And you do it every hour, so it's prevented it from even coming.
Right, right.
Okay.
I mean the way I feel about it. I mean, every time I come here, I always thank you every time I leave because the way that you make me change as far as being stressed in my life and what can I do to myself to help me, I mean, that was great. Has been great.
And the key is by you keep, because you've been very good at keeping to your power thought almost every hour.
Right, and another thing is like if I think if someone else mixes the power thought with the deep muscle relaxation and they do the same exercise at the same time so they don't forget to do one or the other, I think it helps.
So for you, closing your eyes, taking a deep breath, relaxing your body, repeating your power thought, that's a very good combination for
To
you.
me, it has worked. It has done wonders to me. I mean, otherwise, I wouldn't come to you and say thank you every time I see you.
Yeah. Thank you. Esther, why don't you just go ahead and say what kind of problems you had in terms of trusting your husband, the kind of jealousy you had, and
Okay. Me and my husband had been together a long time before we got married, 10 years. So we started seeing each other when we were in high school, 15. So we did a lot of growing up together, you know, a lot of the going out with the friends, you know, meeting the other girls when we were still committed to each other. So I remember all of those bad thoughts.
when he
So,
was with other girls,
yes.
when you were dating each other.
Mhm.
They were supposed to have been monogamous at that time?
Yes.
Okay.
So as we got married, it had gotten better, but it continued to the extent where his friends came first, or other girls came before me, just as far as attention and things like that. Almost like he forgot that we went together. So now, as we got married, our relationship went into a whole different world, and I realized that it's not going to work if that continues. We progressed and worked out our problems, but I still held the past a lot right in front of my memory. So it bothered me a lot. I was angry all the time. I took out a lot of aggression on him.
Like, how would you take out that aggression on him?
Just getting mad if he was watching TV and just happened to look at another girl. I'd go into a rage and
Like, what would you do during a rage?
just yell at him, you know, why are you looking at her? I'll never look like her. You know, why do you want to look at that? And is that what you want? You know? And I just had to learn not to take it so personally.
But but up until the time, how did the power thought work for you? What was the power thought that I gave you?
My power thought was, I do trust Alex. I choose to trust Alex.
Okay. And what did you notice happened when you started using that?
Just reminding myself that I do trust Alex. We had went through a lot and we worked through a lot of problems.
So you were using it every hour, pretty much?
Oh, yes.
Yeah. And did that take care of the jealousy issue?
It helped a lot. It just reminded me that I do trust him and that he loves me and that I'm his wife and that he's always going to be there for me. Just kind of telling myself what I already knew.
So you did that once an hour. And how long did you use the power thought until the relationship started getting better? Did you have to use it very long before the relationship improved, or was it just a short time after using it that the relationship
It improved. It improved. I still notice that I do need a little bit of work. I still have my doubts, so I just say my power thought over and over again, but I'm getting through it. It helps me definitely.
So the marriage went from a very troubled relationship to, would you say, a very good relationship?
Oh, yes, it's excellent. It's excellent. It helped me even to see how hard he's trying to be a good husband and a good father. When before my power thought, I didn't see that. I just always remembered the past. Didn't get to see the good that the marriage was going towards.
So the power thought not only helped you trust him more, but helped you tune into the good that was there.
Oh yeah, what I was just letting pass me by.
So why do you think the power thought enabled you to see so much of the good that's already been there?
Because it calmed myself down, took all the negative thoughts and feelings away. It kind of let me focus on the present instead of letting me think, okay, he's going to go out with his friends automatically, all the partying, all the drinking, all the girls. It didn't give me a chance to think about all the bad. I got a chance to just focus. My husband's a good husband, and I need to trust him, and I do trust him because I choose to trust him.
Okay. Oh, that's good. That's good. Alex,
Describe what the problem was like before Esther started using her power thoughts.
It was just like a lot of rage in her, a lot of negative thoughts, everything related to negative. I don't think she ever saw the positive that was going on. With all the turnarounds that we had.
Now, once
But,
once she had the power thought method of repeating once an hour to herself, "I choose to trust Alex," what did you notice happened then?
She was a lot happier. She was a lot more content. The negative, the negative thoughts, that weren't there. She would catch herself, and I would notice her, and she would pause, and then we'd continue again speaking. Especially when we'd talk about any subject, I noticed that, and she was more at ease.
More at ease.
Yeah.
And how did it affect her marriage?
It was great. We're able to talk a lot about different stuff. Where before, I would hold back because I didn't want to, say something to affect, bring up that anger in her or something. She would take it the wrong way or something. So now we're able to speak a lot better.
So what would be your evaluation of the power thought method?
It's working great for us. It's working great.
Over what period of time?
It's been, I don't know, we're going on like 2-3 months, I guess already.
2 or 3 months with it. Okay. Now, you're a driver for UPS.
Mhm.
How did you find when the relationship was bad? How did it affect you? And then you said that it was good to just escape, but then after a while it started affecting your driving. Can you describe the whole?
Yeah, I mean, I would get fatigued, just like I would catch myself daydreaming a lot, and not like just thinking about my problem at home, rather than keeping my doing my actual job. I started missing work. I would take days off, call in sick and stuff like that. So it affected me that way.
So
After a while,
So the marriage adversely affected your work in
Yeah.
terms of absenteeism.
Yeah.
Adversely affected your work in terms of you being distracted and therefore less safe. Was a detriment to your safety.
I mean, I would go to work and tell my boss, like, you know what, I need a day off, I'm not feeling good, whatever. And I would go to a park and read the paper and just think about what's going on and stuff, because I didn't want to go home and face like the problems that we had. And but I mean, everything's. I mean, we did a big 360-degree turn.
Would you
Everything's
say that
going
as a
good.
result of your therapy and particularly the power thought method that you're a safer driver now for UPS?
Actually, yeah, you know what? Because I mean, after going through all the therapy and stuff, I think I'm a nicer person. I'm more patient, and actually, I like people because I like people telling me, you know what, you're doing a good job. You're such a nice person. Where before I didn't pay attention to things like that, and I'm on a set schedule now, and I see the same people pretty much every day now, and they remind me that, hey, I'm a good guy.
So you have a better relationship with the UPS employees?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's great. Okay, so you did a good job. I appreciate you. This hopefully will help other people in similar situations.
All right. So describe the issue you had and the way we dealt with it. Let's use the jealousy to start with. Just focus on the jealousy. You had a jealousy issue. Talk about the kind of things that were going on and how we cured you.
Okay. Well, the jealousy issue was basically me being jealous of other females that were around my boyfriend, who's also the father of my children. He is in a position where he has to deal with a lot of people, whether they're female or male. I had no problems with the male calling the house, but when the females were calling and the body language was changing and a lot of basically the laughing and stuff kind of got me really angry, where I would attack him and accuse him of a lot of things that weren't really taking place. I didn't really have any evidence, so-called evidence, to prosecute him with. But though in my mind I was actually convinced that things were happening.
So women would call at all times of night because the job
Or
required
paging them,
paging
cell
all-
phone,
like
he was on
1
the
in the
cell
morning,
phone.
2 in the morning,
Right,
3 in the morning.
Right, and then it got to the point where I was constantly basically telling him that he was doing them, so he sought out to do them. Basically, I was pushing him to do them more that I mean, it got to the point where he would come home, and right when he walked in the door, it was constant attacking on him.
When you said you were pushing to do them and he didn't, what do you mean?
I mean, saying that he was going out, he was drinking stuff, and it got to the point where he did start going out and drinking with them. And
But he wasn't having an affair with anybody.
oh, that I don't know.
Okay,
I mean,
we're going to assume
that's,
right, we don't know.
we don't know.
Yeah.
We don't know.
But
I
he
mean,
says he's not.
right. He says he's not, and now, since I've been doing the treatment that Dr. Nimberg's been giving me to do, it has minimalized from where it was like over 100% where I was attacking him down to now maybe not even 10%. I'm like, don't have the jealousy rage, and when I do feel some kind of jealousy, before I can react to it, it's already gone.
So you were having a jealousy rage before.
Right.
Because the idea was either hire a private eye and follow him and see if he's doing something,
Exactly.
or just choose to believe
Or-
him.
Yeah.
And you chose to
Yeah.
just believe him and
Right.
assume that it's
I
you.
mean, yeah, because I was going through his stuff. I was looking for stuff, and it's like that old saying: if you're looking for something, eventually you'll find it. And going in the cars, going through everything that I could find in the cars, going through his pager, his cell phone, his wallet, anything that I could think I can look and find something, I was looking.
Okay, then we decide, okay, given that you're gonna believe him that he's not doing anything, what was the cure that I gave you that you had to be telling yourself?
That it was just me, that I was conjuring it up in my mind.
Okay.
Just me.
And the key was you had to tell yourself this every hour.
Right, every hour.
Okay, so would you
Every
miss
hour
some
was-
hours, or did it more than once in an hour? How did
At
you?
the beginning, I found myself missing, and then towards the second time, I would caught myself saying it more than once an hour, and then the following week it was I was saying it just twice every hour, and then I minimalized it to maybe once in a while I would say it, and then now it's like it's just automatic. It just comes in my mind. I just automatic think it now. It just says, it's just me. I mean, I could be on the phone or something with a client at my work, and it'll just pop it in my mind. It's just me.
So by thinking it's just me, so if you're with him and gets a page from a girl, from one of the workers, which is part of his job to get
Right.
those, you just told me an example of what happened yesterday. Repeat that thing, that whole thing,
Yeah,
where the girl called and...
The girl called. She said, may I speak to Marco? And I said, let me check if he's sleeping. And he picked up the other line, and I said, oh, he got the phone. And I hung up and went on and did my thing. And then about an hour later, she called back again, and he was sleeping. And I said, if it's very important, I'll wake him. So I went to the room, and I said, it's the girl again, from your work. You want to talk to her? And he just got the phone, and then she acknowledged that it was okay, and he said, yeah, it's fine, you can call, But
And you didn't have
before-
any anger about it?
No. My anger like that now, it's like, it doesn't give me enough time to actually react to it anymore. I mean,
Because you're just
before-
saying it's me. So
Yeah.
when you say every hour, and the theory for you saying every hour that it's me, why did I have you do it every hour? To keep reminding yourself, why was I doing that?
so that it would eventually come automatic.
That's right, and it has become automatic.
Right,
So
right.
if somebody calls in, that also triggers off, hey, it's just me.
Right.
So the jealousy isn't even coming out
No.
now.
And actually, it's kind of like, if I feel anything that I'm new to, like a feeling I had today, calling him from work, and the answering machine picked up when I know he's there, I felt myself kind of drifting off to some kind of mind thinking that something was going on, and I automatically said to myself, it's just me. And when I said that, it's just me, it was over. There was
Now,
no
has
reaction.
anybody noticed that you're very different in any way?
yeah.
Who's noticed you're different? What's been
Um,
said to you?
People at work have noticed that I'm more at ease, that I'm not an anger person. I mean, I'm constantly complaining about him, because there's one guy that I was always complaining, always saying that he's doing this and doing that. And I even got down to, why would he lock his cell phone if he has nothing to hide? And when the guy at work would say, you know, I don't lock my cell phone, so he probably is hiding stuff. You know, so it was like I was getting negative feedback from people at work too that were making me more thinking that he is doing something, and then I would go home and fight him on it.
So you're finding now that people at work are noticing you're not paranoid that way, you're not jealous.
Right, that I'm not conjuring up the things and not confirming with them the things that are actually happening.
And what about him? Is he, Marco himself, has he noticed a difference in you? When you asked him, you said recently you asked if he's noticed anything.
Yeah, he said that he noticed, but he's like still on the defense of that rage person coming back.
But you've been basically not into that jealousy rage for how long now?
Since February, so going on 2 months.
Going on 2 months. That's good track record with it.
Yeah, going on 2 months. You know, and it's helped me to more realize that if you can't trust a person, then you can't be with that person. You know, and then it's not just him. If our relationship don't work, I go with someone else, I'm gonna have to deal with that again, that issue again. And it's gonna be basically something that I'm gonna have to be in my life for.
Okay, now let's talk about the panic attacks. You were getting panic attacks. Typically when people get panic attacks, they think they're going to go crazy or they're going to die.
Right.
Or they think they're going to die. So you were getting panic attacks. How frequently were you getting them?
At least 5 times a day.
5 times a day.
At least.
And what we noticed was that they, on the average, only last a minute or two. Is that right?
Right.
So that, just knowing that was very comforting. So once I understood that that was your power thought, the thought that would empower you, I had you start saying, what did I have you start saying to yourself?
That it only lasts about a minute.
So every once in an hour you repeat to yourself?
Right. It only lasts about a minute. And even when my defense is down, my mind is weak, I would feel it coming on and I would say it only lasts a minute. It only lasts a minute.
So you did that review once an hour as well?
Right.
How'd you do it keeping to that once an hour?
I said that once an hour I would say it's just me, and then I would say it only lasts about a minute.
So saying it's just me, that was dealing with the jealousy issue, and it just lasts for about a minute, that was dealing with your panic attacks.
Right.
Okay.
Right, and then the panic attacks would only occur when I had the guilt. And the guilt was from the jealous rage that he would put upon me.
So they were related to each other.
Right. Because after I would have a fight with him on my jealous rage, it would turn into a guilt trip where he would put the guilt on me because, well, now I realize that the guilt trip was me because I was the one that conjured all that false pretenses, caused the jealous rage, caused the
So by cutting down your jealousy reaction, that also cuts down your panic response.
attacks, right.
Your panic, and also by saying it just lasts for a minute, cuts your panic attacks
Right.
down. So Tina's been very successful at applying the principles that we talked about. Basically, by saying it's just me, that's her power thought. That empowers her. Instead of giving away her power, that he's doing this to me and upsetting her, she's saying, no, it's just me. I'm just imagining this. And by taking responsibility for it, the jealousy's disappeared. And objectively, we don't really know what's happened with him. I mean, that's an unknown factor. She wasn't going to hire a private eye, so it was better for her mentally and spiritually to just say, okay, it's just me. And by saying that once an hour, it's basically self-defense, defense against self. My worst enemy, your worst enemy, her worst enemy is ourselves. So by saying it's just me and doing it once an hour, after a while the thought becomes automatic. And so even when somebody would call, normally she would have felt jealous about that woman calling her husband, which was part of his job, she would just say, well, it's just me. And it would come to mind automatically because she reviews it once an hour, and she has to continue to do it once an hour for the rest of her life. If she stays with him, she would need to continue to do that. So she's always on guard to defend herself against those thoughts. And she's been highly successful with the jealousy reaction and highly successful with panic attacks. One of the frightful things about panic attacks, people feel they either go crazy or die during a panic attack. And she understood, and most people do, that their panic attacks only last on the average a certain length of time. In her case, it's just a minute or two. So by saying that to herself, it was very comforting. And so even if she got near a panic attack and she says that to herself, it just goes away.
Okay. My name is James McGuire. I've been I've been raised here in Monterey Park all my life, pretty much. I came in with, I had a lot of depression. There was anger, you know. I had alcohol and drug problems, and my life was just really a mess. And matter of fact, I tried to commit suicide. I even had one other time I felt like committing suicide. I went into a mental health hospital and, you know, just trying to get help. And so since I've come here, you know, things have just dramatically have changed for my life and through these power thoughts. And
Why don't you talk about your reaction to the Power Thought book and then the Power Thoughts that you came up with? You're an unusual case, James, in that you came up with your own power thoughts.
Yes.
So why don't you talk about that search for your power thought and how it's affected
okay.
you?
Well, I needed to find something positive in my life. The book was saying go into the negative things, how we can focus on the negative, then we can just as easily focus on the positive things in our life. And then I started to realize all the positive things in my life, like my children, for instance. Since I've become homeless, my children were taken away from me, and that brought a lot of depression in my life because I missed my children. So as I began to think of them as positive things, then negative stuff started coming in and destroying my positive thoughts. So I had to go beyond the natural, and that's when I said, only God can, you know, help me out with this stuff, you know, and things that He's given to me, because those are the things that are, you know, to me are solid. And so I started thinking about my power thought. And what I had come up with was, I am what God says I am. Because I've always been told as I was growing up, I was a dummy, I'm stupid, I can never amount to anything in my life, you know, and this came from my parents, you know, who I look up to and stuff. And so even now when I'm doing good, I don't think I am doing good, you know. I've gone back to school now, and I'm getting A's. You know, that really blows me away. You know, I'm saying, hey, this can't be true. I'm supposed to be dumb. I'm supposed to be stupid. You
So
know?
your power thought, I am what God says I am, was a way of redefining yourself
Yes.
and boosting up your self-esteem.
Yes, definitely.
And you came up with a second power thought.
The second power thought was, God said everything will be all right. And this is something He had personally given to me, and it's like, everything in my life, there's been a lot of negativity. And just like, you know, I'm thinking I'm not going to get my kids back, or, you know, my marriage is a mess right now. Everything is falling apart. But God says everything's going to be all right. And it is. And just things are just turning around dramatically. My relationship with my wife is, we're having a good relationship. We're communicating good, and you know, the thing with the children, you know, I'm working now towards getting my children back, and it's just amazing. It really is.
How many times a day are you saying your power thoughts?
I'm working on. You had told me to do it about half hour, repeat it every half hour and stuff. And at first it was hard to remember, you know, I get caught up in daily things. So what I did, I started writing it on writing it where I could see it to remind me, because I need reminders, you know, we get caught up in stuff. So that's what I do to remind myself. I see it, I got it written in my van and the house and stuff like that. So I see it. So
how many times did we say you get it? 10 times, 15, 20, roughly?
Maybe about 15 times.
15 times a day.
Yeah.
That's a good number to be doing
Yes.
that. And have you felt it's helped or no effect? Tell me what effect you feel it's had on you.
Like I said, just boosting my self-esteem has been awesome. And it's helped me to look at life different. Like for instance, my kids were taken away because we were homeless, okay? Now I look at it now, and God has used that to make a better person out of me. You know, I had to go through all these classes, you know, parenting classes, you know, these drug and alcohol classes, and I've actually learned from these things, you know. I'm going to become a better person now. I'm going to be a better parent to my children. And so now I'm seeing the positive and the negative things that have come into my life. So I'm excited about that. I look at things at a different way now. You know, even though it's negative coming into my life, but I can turn it around to something positive, and that excites me.
So in the book, I talked about having negative thoughts, and then I told you to have positive thoughts. So basically, you saw how your mind could go towards negative
Yes.
or towards positive, whichever you chose.
Yes, and that's all my life was doing. I was focusing on the negativity, Now I've been focusing on the positive, and it's just been blowing me away. As a matter of fact, I even been thinking about songs, because just songs would come to my mind and stuff like that. And I was telling you earlier, I'm calling them power songs. There was a scripture in the Bible about Jesus was saying to the apostles, when we speak to the mountain will be removed. So I made a song out of that, because Jesus says, whoever says to the mountain, that word says means to command or to mand. And so the song I came out with was, speak to the mountain will be removed. Speak to the mountain will be removed. And what I want to teach people is to add whatever you're going through. Speak to the anger, and the anger will be removed. Speak to the depression, and the depression will be removed.
And power thoughts are the way to, speak to those different emotions.
Yes, definitely. Yeah. And then in Proverbs, was that 18? I wrote down 18:21. It says, life and death are in the power of the tongue. I like that word of power. That word power means direction. So whatever comes in our lives, in other words, what we're speaking determines the course our life will take.
Thank you. So now you came in, what were your symptoms you were having when you first came into the clinic?
I wasn't sleeping very well. Having headaches, really a lot of problems with my sleep. Couldn't sleep. Real nervous all the time. I feel, what can I say? I guess I felt real lost at one time, like I didn't know where I was going, what direction.
Okay, and then I gave you a power thought. What was the power thought that I gave you?
Your power thought that you gave me was, I'll be all right. And I would say that once every 30 minutes. And it helped very well. It helped. I mean, I kept saying that. It kept reassuring me that I was going to be okay, and that whatever I was going through would pass, and I would move on.
And then I gave you some deep muscle relaxation, a little relaxation procedure to use. What was involved in that?
It's just basically take a deep breath, hold it, tense yourself up with your shoulders, and then slowly release.
And then you do your power thought right after.
Yes, I do my power thought right after that. I'm releasing, I'm just listening to everything around me.
Okay, why you go? Would you could do that now for us? Just do your relaxation technique, yeah. And then your power thought out loud.
It's gonna be all right. I'm gonna be all right.
Okay, open your eyes. Thanks. So how do you feel when you do that?
Very relaxed. As a matter of fact, just like a second ago, I was real tense because I'm on film and everything. I'm not really, this isn't really something I do, but it relaxed me, just like it always does. Ever since you showed me how to do this technique.
And so you were using it once every 30 minutes. Then you went to once an hour.
Every hour, yes.
And then you go to every other hour now.
Every other hour now.
So
yes.
you're using about 10 times a day. Yes. Would you say?
About 8 to 10 times.
8 to 10 times a day. And what have you found in terms of your symptoms that you had?
What do you mean, what have I found?
You're sleeping better?
Yes, I sleep a whole lot better. I'm more relaxed now. I feel a little bit more relaxed when I do that. My power thought and my breathing technique, my muscle relaxation technique, I feel more relaxed. I just feel more comfortable. I feel like I'm in a zone now.
And what about, how do you feel towards your future with this power thought?
I feel very, very feel good about the future. I feel that it's not ending where I thought it would be, that I thought my life was over, and it's not. I know now that that's not the case, and every time I do the power thought and I say it to myself, I become more and more eager for the future now. Before I was more, I really don't want to deal with this. I don't know what's happening, So
the power thought has led to other positive thoughts?
Yes.
What are some of the other positive thoughts that it's led to?
Other positive thoughts, it's led me to believe that I'm gonna be successful, that I'm gonna work out my marriage problems, that my relationship with my son is gonna be better, that my finances are gonna be better. Those are just few of the things that is fueling me to push on towards my future.
So your power thought then spilled over and opened up other positive thoughts in you. So it wasn't just that one power thought, because that thought led to other types of thoughts that have lifted your mood up.
Yes, it has.
And giving you more hope for the future.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Okay. Well, you've done a good job with it.
Thank you. I thank you. I mean, if it wasn't for you, I don't know what I'd do. really.
Well, I appreciate that, Ronaldo. It's been an honor to be a part of your life that way.
Definitely, I'm honored to be your patient.
Yeah. Thanks. Okay, so when you initially came to me, there was some anger issues, and you've been so motivated to come that you and your wife and your 2 children travel 2 hours by bus. So you spend 4 hours a day when you come to see me
Yes.
just to get here and back home. That's how serious the issue was. And
Yes.
the issue was so serious that you and your wife were separated when we first started. Is that correct?
Yes, correct. It was really
Okay.
serious.
Now, tell me what happened with your power thoughts and what's happened in the relationship with the
Yeah.
treatment, with your power thought
Well,
treatment.
This Power Thoughts has helped me a lot, me and my wife, because we're together and we can practice them together. And the one that I choose to put my wife's needs before my own, that one's helped me a lot.
So if you like to
And-
put her first, that's good. That's
Yes.
a powerful one.
Yes, that one helps. That's the main one that's helped me a lot. And my wife has the same one, and she puts my needs also. So these Power Thoughts, they've helped us to make our relationship strong again and gain that trust that we had lost.
And that was one of your power thoughts, is I trust my wife,
Yes, I choose to put my wife's needs before my own.
and I trust it was another.
And the other one is I choose to trust my wife, and it's just me.
Okay. It's just me has to do with when you feel jealous.
Well,
because
my
it's not-
jealousy, yes. It's just me, so I won't be thinking all the negative things. And that helps me calm down.
Okay. So these power thoughts, about how many times a day would you say you repeat the power thoughts?
I was repeating them every hour.
Okay. Okay.
Every hour.
And the quality of your life is better. You're living back together.
Yes.
And your anger is going way down with your wife.
Yes, it's helped us a lot. And my wife too, she's seen a lot of things that I've changed.
In what ways does she see that you changed?
Well, I've always told her that I would change, and she's saying, no, you're going to be the same. It's always going to be the same. But these Power Thoughts, this treatment that you have given us, that's made the big difference. And the way that I don't get angry. I can control that anger. And her too.
How long has the improvement continued? How long have I been seeing you?
It's been since last year.
So it's been a year almost a year that we've.
Like 8 months.
8 months that the treatments continued to help over an 8-month
Yes.
period, and a much better
But
marriage.
It helped right at the beginning, because you have to want to change in order for it to help you.
Yeah. Well, you know how many psychologists it takes to change a light bulb? It takes one, but it has to want to change.
Yeah. Still to change, yeah.
Well,
Yes.
so you've done a great job.
Well, we've been to other psychologists, and it wasn't so effective as with you.
I'm glad I could be
I'm
of
real
service
thankful.
to you.
Yeah.
I'm glad I could be of service to you. Really, I am. It's an honor. It really is. You realize you have to keep these power thoughts up for life. These are lifetime
Yes, I realize
commitments
that.
on these. Yeah. Well, you've kept it up for
Yes.
8 months already, so you're on your way.
Mhm.
Well, congratulations on taking control over your own cognitive environment and improving your marriage, which is good for the children as well.
Yes, it is. Well, thank you, doctor.
Good to see you.
Appreciate it, and my wife appreciates it too.
Jessica, you had an issue that you felt that the quality of your life was severely compromised because you were rushing around all the time trying to get to everything. Why don't you talk a little bit about what the quality of your life was like, and then the power thoughts that we used and what's been happening since?
Okay, prior to repeating the power thought, I felt that I was always just rushing around and never really completing anything. Always try to do so much, and yet the time was just not enough to complete everything that I had to do. And after the power thought, I just felt that I actually had completed things, and I found a job. I just was able to find a mentor for my senior project, just get a lot more of what I had to do.
Yeah. Now, when you felt you were behind the 8 ball most of the time trying to get things done, what was the quality of your life like when you were rushing about?
It was depressing. It was just not very good as far as my self-esteem. Just if I didn't get things accomplished, it just didn't make me feel good.
But did you find that the quality of your life suffered from being so task-oriented and not appreciating the moment?
Yes, it did.
And how was that? How was it that your life suffered, the quality of your life suffered from the kind of rushing about, the frenetic pace that you were keeping?
It, as far as my grades, they suffered.
What about the quality of your own thought life, your emotional life?
Yeah, I did suffer a lot because, again, I felt, depressed and just didn't feel too good.
And for what you were telling me is you would rush about doing things, you didn't really notice the beauty that was around you. You were just kind of zooming through time and space. Is that correct?
Right.
Well, can you say a little bit about what that was like?
I just really didn't feel happy like when I was with my family. I just didn't feel like I was actually appreciating the time. I just felt like I was worried about what I had to get done and just not really concentrating.
So your life really consisted of thinking about your future all the time, not the present.
Right.
You're always totally living in the future.
Right.
Is that a correct statement about it?
Yes.
And what were the consequences of living in the future all the time?
I wasn't actually completing anything in the present, and it just everything just kept getting pushed back and pushed back.
Okay. Now, let's go to what was the first power thought that I gave you?
This moment right now is very precious.
Okay, and about how many times a day were you repeating that?
In the beginning, it was kind of difficult to remember it, but after I kind of got used to it, I would say about 10, 15 times a day.
Okay. And then we added a second one to it, which was more spiritual. Which was that?
God, let me treasure your creations.
And how many times a day did you start using that?
I just would do it right immediately after the
after the other one. And what did you find, how these power thoughts, from what you told me, they really enhanced your life? Could you talk about how they enhanced your life?
They just made me just kind of sit back and not really think about everything that I had to do and just kind of enjoy the moment, and then that would just lead me to have more spare time to actually get the things that I really needed to get done, and it just helped me get everything that I had to get done, and I just really feel that now like I have completed a lot of things that I needed to do.
And what would you say about the quality of your life on a moment-to-moment basis?
It was very good. It was very satisfying. Just I wouldn't feel so anxious and so depressed. It was definitely good.
Well, you also, now you're able to apply this, you're able to apply this, and now as we're talking, you're able to appreciate this moment now that we're sitting here talking and cameras are on and so forth. But in addition to maybe being a little self-conscious, do you find you can also appreciate the quality of these moments now?
Right.
Because all there ever is now.
Right.
Yeah. I find the same for myself. I can appreciate this moment, and Hugh doing the video work, us sitting here talking, and life just passing by, the sound of some cars going by, and I've practiced as well being in the moment, and it's been very valuable.
Right.
And now you need to keep these power thoughts up for life, because at this point you've applied them for what period of time?
Approximately 2 months.
2 months. Okay. Now you want to keep it up permanently, and you want to keep it at least 6 or 7 times a day minimum of the power thoughts. Okay, well, good. Thank you for being here, and I appreciate these moments that we've had to talk about things.
Okay, thank you.